the tape, let's grind. Shut up. The tape. Let's grind. The tape. We do a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up, grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape. Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
The tape.
UGA game day, boy, we ball out. Pull up, put the whole conference in the doghouse. Leave them 6 feet, see me on the win streak. All-star status, go coach, and the bench deep. Right. Offense on 10, how we run it? Your best ain't nothing, we gon' send them boys punting. Yeah. Black and red, got them dead on arrival. Defense hunker down for the tie. Hey, you don't want it with the dogs. Found guy on it, you don't want it with my dog. Break it down, play by play, that's the day-to-day. They know we ain't come to play, boy, it's UGA. Kirby smart, I cannot play the fool. Back to back, we did not come to lose. Back to back, like we got something to prove. Pay your dues, dog nation on the move. What's up?
We do a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Shut up. Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The
Shut
tape.
up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro.
Let's
Grind the tape, bro.
Let's
Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
Shut up. The tape. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You like that? You really like that? Oh, shut up. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to the Film Guy Network on a fabulous Sunday evening. I've been flipping this one up on you. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Last week we did it at noon, and the numbers, they just didn't pop. Look, when I see 1,800 people in a live stream on a particular time, like a Sunday evening, I got to come back to the well eventually. As a business owner, it would be improper of me not to at least try that time slot once again. So here we are, 9 o'clock live here on a Sunday evening, giving you our Week 10 reactions from what was a very chaotic and loaded weekend of college football. Penn State, the definition of insanity. Anyone who's ever played football, maybe anyone who's ever played a sport, has heard the old coaching euphemism. What is the definition of insanity? It is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. My dumbass was out here expecting a different result this weekend, but hey, here we are. We got the same result we always get in that football game. But I stumbled upon an epiphany this afternoon thinking about this football game. I'm going to deliver that one to you. 7 top 25 football teams went down this weekend. Clemson takes an L. We'll talk about it this weekend. Iowa State been eking by this mid-12 for about, last 4 or 5 weeks. They finally took one this weekend. Shouts out to the Red Raiders. Hooters. What in the world's going on? Houston, the Cougars. That's what's going on right there. What? Cougars. If you're new to the channel, we call that around here football brain. the Houston Cougars are not the team to play with when you're going into there on the road. K-State found out this weekend. South Carolina rolls Texas A&M. We're going to talk about that one at pretty good length today. SMU's Southern Methodist. SMU absolutely rolled and throttled Pittsburgh this weekend. Probably won't talk too much about that one. And Minnesota takes down Illinois. 7 top 25 football teams went down this week in an absolute hectic week. And of course, we're going to talk about, as you see in the title and with the what do you call that? The graphic that we made for this video, we're obviously going to be addressing the turnover problems that Georgia has found themselves in over the last several football games with Carson Beck at the helm. And we're going to talk about those interception problems. Oregon absolutely took care of business this weekend. They've been rolling ever since that 1-point win over Ohio State. And Tennessee, I'm going to give you your props up front because we're not going to talk ad nauseum about that one. Tennessee handled what we are now calling the good Kentucky. All right, there's like two sides of the coin with the Kentucky Wildcats. You either get the good Kentucky or the really, really bad Kentucky. They got 3 quarters of good Kentucky and survived it. Brock Vandagriff goes out. They ultimately pull away in that one. So congratulations on surviving that one. We got a lot to talk about in this episode tonight. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. And if you are new to the network, please go ahead and subscribe as well. Want to take a brief moment. We did some stuff this weekend with Friday Night's Mike returning over in that matchup between Valdosta and Lowndes. If you haven't taken the time out to watch that after tonight's show, please at least go give that one a shot. Jonathan and I stayed up until about 2 o'clock in the morning editing that one. And I love a lot of the work that I do. I really love that. That is some of the most fun that I have had doing content. And even if you don't watch it, I had fun doing it. But we worked really hard on it, and I hope you enjoy it as well. We laughed so incredibly hard doing that and editing that. So I hope you guys enjoy that. We also did some Man on the Street out there in Jacksonville as well and showed you some up close and personal, behind the scenes stuff with regards to Georgia game day operations and all that good stuff. So if you haven't watched that, please go do that and make sure you're subscribing as well. Let's start in Happy Valley, man. A massive football game, kicking off at noon. I've always, hated the big noon kickoffs, but it is what it is. This game, year after year, has boiled down to one constant. And one thing that we know is inevitably going to happen, right? Penn State's offense is going to become anemic. Better yet, they're going to start throwing up all over the field. Normally, that's what happens, right? They start battling, and it's a tight football game. But everyone watching it knows, hey, ain't no chance Penn State's going to, even mount an offensive drive late in this football game. They finally did it. They finally actually mounted one. It just, stifled at the 1 yard line, but we're going to talk about it. At some point, they're going to wet down their leg offensively. That's what it's going to feel like for a Penn State offense going up against good football teams like Ohio State. It won't be Michigan this year, but normally in years past, it has been Michigan. We just know you're going to get, boa constricted at some point because your offense is going to become anemic. So they took 55 offensive snaps yesterday in that football game. I went and watched the last 20 snaps on tape. I had the all 22 coaches copy. Not going to show it to you here today, obviously, but we're going to walk through it. These last 3 drives, these last 20 plays of the football game span from 10 minutes and 35 seconds left in the third. They are down 17-10. So they have 3 drives in the last 25 minutes of the football game. That's not ideal, and that kind of tells you what was happening to them defensively. We will conclude our analysis in this football game on that side of the football. But let's talk about Penn State offensively, because that's what everyone points to and laughs at. And I want to walk you through these drive series because I'm going to be honest. I went into it expecting like real vanilla offense, real like what my dad called Pittsburgh Steeler offense back in the day when Ben Roethlisberger was a rookie and they had the bus, right? Run, pass. Run, pass. We're going to run it twice on you. If it's not in a runnable situation on third down, we're going to have to pass, and everybody knows that we're going to pass the football. That's what I always thought of Penn State offense, and to an extent, that's kind of what it still is, but they are really, really creative offensively with how they actually get to their run packages. I think they do a really good job. They only have one weapon, and I should have done the research to find his name. It's number 44. They play what I like to call high school offense. Like, they are doing everything they can to get 44 the pill. in any form and facet, even making him a Wildcat. Let's talk about this. All right, so first series that I turn on, P&10 as we call it. First down and 10 as soon as they get the rock. The quarterback very obviously miscounts the box in a first down RPO. What they're trying to run tight end leak, or actually trying to get the tight end out in the space to get him the football. They misread it, have a negative run play in terms of efficiency. On second down, they come right back to a tight end leak play that's going all over college football now because the the Green Bay Packers hit it on the Jacksonville Jaguars a couple weeks ago. Malik Willis wins the football game, and now everybody's running tight end leak against cover 3 zones or cover 4 zones. They try to come to it. It gets barely rubbed at the line of scrimmage. They hit number 44. It goes for an 11-yard, 12-yard gain. So now they have first and 10 again. They get really, really creative with 2 run schemes. They have a wildcat offense with number 44. He gets a first down. They put the extra offensive tackle. I call this the Trent Williams play. Put him out there as a wide receiver. Bring him in motion, and he kicks the end of the line of scrimmage as like a big tackle, or a big tight end rather, but he's just an offensive tackle. I call it the Trent Williams play because the San Francisco 49ers kind of made it famous, if you will. They're doing everything they can to try to create explosive runs, and they do so. Now, they get stuffed on their next first down. In green territory, they're finally past midfield on this first drive I turn on. First and 10, they get absolutely slammed in a run or on a run play. Now, it's second and 8. All right, second and 8, the whole I've been talking a lot this weekend, so bear with me on my voice. Second and 8, the whole building knows that they're throwing the football more than likely. All right? They get a zone blitz from Ohio State that they don't pick up. It gets disguised perfectly. Ohio State executes it perfectly. Boom, sack. Now, third and 17, sacked again, I believe it is. Or excuse me, third and 9. All right, third and 9. Critical down on third and 9, plus territory. Ohio State lines up in cover 1. All right, there's man coverage across the board. Penn State gives pre-snap motion. Everybody knows it's man coverage, including the defense, including the wide receivers, including the OC, including the quarterback. They have their winner. They have 2 wide receivers going vertically. They're trying to rub Caleb Downs, and they're trying to run an out route with their best player, number 44. Guess what happens? Caleb Downs sees it, goes over the top of the 2 guys that are designated to pick him, and makes an incredible play, tackles them short of the sticks, bring on the field goal unit. Is that Penn State's offense getting anemic, or is that Ohio State with a perfect zone blitz on second and 8, right? Getting a sack, and then on third and 9, getting off the field because Caleb Downs is a freak? Probably a little bit of both, but I saw offensive ingenuity even to get them into field goal range. All right, so tip of the cap to the coordinator. By the way, I'm going to get to the problem at the end of this. All right, second series that I'm watching. All right, at this point, I think the score is 20-13 or maybe 17-13. Nonetheless, they are still down in the football game with an obvious sign that they are going to have very limited possessions moving forward. Here's what they do. P&10, the first play of the possession, they drop back pass. Ohio State dead into quarters. Everyone bails. They check the ball down to the running back. I think it's Singleton out of the backfield. He runs for like 12 yards. Big explosive, or not explosive play, but big play. Moves the chains. Now it seems like they've got momentum. Misreads another RPO. They try to run a little like Travis Kelce. They got outside zone pitch, quarterback, and they got the shuttle up underneath to the tight end. All week long, they've probably been overcoaching that this is going to be a big play to the tight end. He fails to read it, pitches it to the tight end. Buddy, if he'd have just let the play out, if he'd have actually ran it like it was supposed to and pitched the wide zone, some bitch might have hit for 25 yards, but they obviously misread another RPO, the second time in 2 possessions on critical downs in which they do that. Now it's second and 10 or second and 8. Again, a very similar situation. They blow another blitz. They get blitzed again, absolutely get blown up. All right. Now it's third and 17. They get sacked again on third and 17, punt the football. The third series that I'm watching, this is the last series of the football game, the last one. All right, first down and 10, tough-ass run. Caleb Downs meets him at basically like 4 yards depth. Caleb Downs makes a huge play, knocks him down. All right, second and 6. On second and 6, guess what happens? Number 44, insane play on a one-on-one little slot fade that they got going on to 44. Absolute dot from Drew Aller as well. Tremendous play, big explosive. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. We're back on the ball. First and 10, they try to take another shot. Great coverage by Ohio State. Tremendous coverage by Ohio State. Makes Drew Aller scramble. He picks up 4 yards. Now, 2nd and 10. 2nd and 10, obvious rundown, okay? More than likely in this area of the field where they're at, obvious rundown, or at least Ohio State's tendencies are telling them so, because they fire the piss out of the nickel. Nickel fires, tight end that's wrapping around, who's designated to see him, but isn't really supposed to, expect him until depth. He's there to get him in space. Now all of a sudden he's firing head on a swivel, 44, doesn't see him, blows up the play. So now there's a negative play. Now it's 3rd and 5. Guess what they do? They hop into Wildcat again. 44 takes off for a 40-plus yard explosive. Boom. Thank God 44 is an incredible football player. We're playing high school football out here with the OC, just trying to get the man's the rock however we can, and he is toting it. He is toting us. So they get the ball inside the 5. 1st and goal. What do? Run, run, run. Stuff, stuff, stuff. Here comes 4th down. Ball at the 1. What do? They try to go play action. Whose head's on a swivel? Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs plays it perfectly, by the way. Not only are his eyes in the perfect spot, but he gets away with a pass interference because he did the pass interference perfectly. They teach you as a defensive back, front hand first, back hand second. If you go watch the coach's copy of that play on 4th and 1 like I did this morning, you will see Caleb Downs take his left hand and punch that dude's left hip as hard as he can, and it completely jacks his trajectory off. And then as the ball hits, he grabs that backhand and snatches him. Now, why do we teach DBs at the highest level of football to go front hand first, backhand last when they're going to break that play up? Because the back judge is the one who calls that PI. So if you touch him with your backhand first and you tug on him before the ball gets there, you're going to get called for a PI. It's right there. He's looking right at it. But if you hit him with that front hand first, no one's going to see it. The umpire's looking at the line of scrimmage. The back judge is looking at the line of scrimmage. The white hat's looking at the line of scrimmage. The umpires in the corner of the end zone are looking for PI. It was perfectly executed by that man. Perfectly executed by Caleb Downs. So here's the conclusion for me. All right, 1, Caleb Downs, great football player. All 3 of those drives came to an end because Caleb Downs did something great towards the end of that football play or football game. Tip of your cap right there. The other thing, I don't think they lack for offensive ingenuity. I really don't. I think they have a problem, and here's the problem. They clearly don't have any weapons. They clearly don't have anybody that can win on the outside consistently. But yet, when I see teams that win at high rates that can't seem to get high-level wide receiver recruits, there's really only one example of a team in college football that consistently beats great teams and consistently is in the top 5, and hell, has won 2 national titles and doesn't really do it with elite weapons at the wide receiver. And it's Georgia, and Georgia is extremely pro style. And that's not what this is. If I were Penn State, I would be studying Kyle Shanahan. I would be studying what Todd Monken did at Georgia. I would be studying what Georgia tries to do, because they don't have weaponry, and as long as I've watched them, they don't have elite weaponry. So we probably don't need to be in 3-by-1 sets. We probably don't need to do most of our play action, or most of our, rather, traditional pass game from shotgun. All right, if we're dropping our quarterback back, however many times out of standard shotgun, never really giving him play action rollout boots, never really protecting him, never really giving our wide receivers an opportunity to run away from leverage, but instead asking them to win consistent one-on-ones when everybody knows we're passing the football, that's a negative recipe. That's not one that's going to have consistent results against great defenses, because when they're able to just line it up and run the football, or better yet, they're playing defensive back groups that aren't even the caliber of maybe like an Ohio State or an Oregon or whatever's the best end of the Big Ten provides, they're not going to create a lot of space. They're going to have problems. Okay, make sure you're hitting that like button on this video. We got to get these numbers boosting. My answer is a pro style, like a real under center pro style offense. I would be studying the hell up out of Kyle Shanahan, because as long as Ohio State's in your conference, I don't know if you're going to have great weapons, because you're going to be recruiting against Brian Hartline. I shouldn't even say Ohio State. As long as Brian Hartline's in your conference, you're in trouble at that position. Now, here's the thing about Penn State. They got great players everywhere else. Great players everywhere else. I was watching them on tape. It's incredible the amount of really, really high-end athletes this dude's recruited, particularly from the DMV, the area that he recruits consistently year in and year out. Phenomenal. He just can't quite figure out the weaponry and the explosive passing attack out of traditional drop back pass. And in fact, there's not a ton of traditional drop back pass for him anyways. They're trying to get so tricky and innovative in the run game. And the other problem with the style of football y'all are playing right now, this run pass, or this, shorten the game. We're trying to, limit the amount of possessions and really, like I said, shorten the game. Bro, Ohio State is waxing your ass year in and year out with the same game plan. They got the rock back with 5.5 minutes left. Ball on their own 1. Penn State didn't have the ball again the rest of the football game. They ran the ball 10 times in a row to close this ball game right down Penn State's throat. I would be changing how we do things, maybe in the offseason up there in Penn State offensively. Get the hell up out of shotgun. Matter of fact, do what like what Wisconsin was doing in its heyday with Russell Wilson. There you go. Get in 12. You have great tight ends year in and year out. You got a great tight ends coach. You have great tight ends year in and year out. Get in 12 personnel. Get in the I, not with a fullback, but get in single back ISO formations, 12 personnel, boot the quarterback, and throw bombs. Simple. We're going to get to Georgia at the end of this one. We're letting it slow build. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button and firing off in that chat. Here we go. Clemson had the weirdest L I've ever seen. We didn't talk much about Ohio State there, but we got all week to talk about it. Clemson had the weirdest loss I've ever seen. And Jonathan and I were driving back from Jacksonville last night, watching this one, thinking, what in the hell is going on? How is, you look at the box score on this one, and it makes no sense at all. They lose this game 33-12. At one point, they were down 26-7, and this was the box score. Clemson had 31 first downs in this football game to Louisville's 19. Clemson went 11 of 23. Not great, just under 50%. That's okay when the other team is 4 for 12 on third down. They had 450 total yards of offense in this football game. They won the rushing battle. They won time of possession in this football game by 15 minutes. 15 minutes. If you just look at those and say, we did this today, and by the way, coach, we didn't turn the ball over, how on earth were you down 26-7 with 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter? How? I know how. At one point, K. Klubnik in this football game was 28 for 49 for 172. 28 for 49 for 172. Narrow ball thrown beyond the line of scrimmage, apparently, in this football game. I don't have to watch the tape, and I probably should, considering it's right up there in the corner. I don't have to watch the tape. I can look at that stat sheet, and I would look at my offensive coordinator and say, hey, were we trying to win the game today? Were we trying? We didn't even turn the ball over today. We didn't throw an interception, and we were averaging 4.1 yards per attempt. We did not drive the ball down the field at all. This is year 2 with this quarterback and year 2 with this offensive coordinator, year 2 with these types of weapons, and we cannot drive the ball down the field at all. At all. So that would be my first question. Why were we not trying at all right, to explosively move the football? Question number one. My other question, and it's not even a question, it's really just a statement. At 26-7 in this football game, all right, Clemson gets the ball back, and they're just like, you know what? Screw it. There's 11 minutes left in this football game. We're down, I think, what's that, 26-7? That's 19 points. We're down three possessions. We're just going to run the hell up out of the football. So that's what they do. They start running the ball. They score on 2 possessions, primarily running the football. And do you know why they were having success? Because Louisville's on the other side just playing the math. Just being like, well, they're not gonna catch up to us. They don't have enough possessions. So yeah, they just conceded the run from what we were watching. Just conceded the run over and over again. And Clemson starts to have success. Now, that's all fine and dandy. We get back in the football game. I think there was a critical coaching error in the middle of that, in the midst of this attempted comeback by Clemson. All right. They scored to go 26-13 on that first possession of the two that they run the football primarily and score in the middle of that fourth quarter, okay? They score, it's 26-13. All right, so they're down. My math's terrible. It's 26-13. They have an opportunity to go for two and make it 26-15, which is an 11-point deficit, therefore a two-possession game. He kicks the PAT to therefore be down 12 points instead of going for two, and now he's down 3 possessions. Mathematically makes no sense. And I mean, even the producers in the box, the PA guys in the box were absolutely smoking them for the decision. It was very, very weird. All right, very weird. The time management of that, the fourth quarter comeback in that football game was not ideal in my opinion. And the passing attack against good football teams and good defenses, not saying that Louisville's like some elite defense, but they're a defense that's seen this offense for 2 years now. Seems to be pretty comfortable keeping things up underneath consistently, or at least limiting the opportunity for those deep shots. Let's talk about Texas A&M. Vegas knew something, and my pops, degenerate gambler, I should have known this. He taught me, I mean, as early as he taught me to tie my shoes, also taught me like, hey, man, Vegas, if they know something, if something stank, stay away from it. That line stunk the whole time. The whole time I'm like, Texas A&M 2.5 on the road, that's not enough. I made it a lock this week, and I took an L. Vegas knew something, and Vegas obviously knows William Bryce ain't nothing to play with at night in an SEC matchup. Don't care who you are. All right? And here's where I want to start with this analysis. I am all for aggressiveness. I am. But ball on your own 34. The opponent, the home team, by the way, just went 11 plays, 75 yards to open the game, score. You're down 7-0. You go 3 plays, 4th and 1, ball on your own 34. You go for it. Stuffed. Probably punt that football, play defense to start the football game on the road. Like, the last thing we want to do is give them momentum. The last thing we want to do is give the entire stadium a reason to go absolutely bananas. Also, by the way, when you're on the road, short yardage situations are no longer, even if it is 4th and inches, short yardage situations are not statistically what your box sheet says they are. And I'm not saying he has some analytical guy in his ear saying go for it. Maybe he went with the gut. But my gut tells me on 4th and inches on the road, we have 0 push. 0. We're not getting off the ball. You're having to go silent count anyway, so you're only slapping the butt of the center. So the only one getting off the ball is the center. If I put a 0 tech there, guess what? He ain't going nowhere. So now you got to pick a side and hope that your guards can react faster or fast as the defensive lineman. And then, not only that, create push. So on the road, 4th and 1 to start the football game down 7-0. I don't love it, ball at your own 34. I don't love that at all. Now, here's what's even worse. We compound the decision to start the second half. You come out in the second half, almost identical situation. 4th and 1, short yardage, ball in your own end, heavy in your own end. Punt the football. You're down 7. You hand them 3 points. Now you're down 10. Didn't love that at all. Again, all for the, it's a mentality. It's a mindset. I'm all for that stuff. But it's also reality. We're on the road. There's 90 some odd screaming cocks out here. Like, what are we doing? I'm not creating push at the line of scrimmage. Probably should have learned from the first lesson, punt the football on the second lesson. Didn't love that at all. But my main takeaway in this football game, and I think everyone's main takeaway in this football game should be this one. I don't know which South Carolina offense to ever prepare for. And really, I don't know which Lenora Sellers to prepare for. And in this football game, which Rocket Sanders to prepare for, because apparently he returned to like 2022 form. That dude ain't look like that in a short area quickness department in 24 months. And he just like Will Smith showed up with the Men in Black flash o-meter thing and was just like, nah, you're him again, out here going crazy. But I have no idea how to predict or think this offense, what they're going to do, what version of them I'm going to get. Hell, even in the second half when they're pulling away in this football game, I mean, it's a coin flip as to whether or not they're going to turn it over, go 3 and out, or score a touchdown. They go 5 plays, 83 yards in their first possession of the half. 5 plays punt. They get the ball at the 5 or the 15-yard line or whatever it was on the 4th and 1 failed conversion rate for Texas A&M in the second half. All right, so they kick a field goal there after getting stalled 3 times in a row. The next possession, 5 plays punt, 6 plays fumble, and then they're like, you know what? 5 plays, 85 yards on your head top right now. Boom. I have no idea. I have no idea how you prepare for this football team except for just hope today they do not hit their explosives. Because if they do, you're going to be in for some wild rides. All right, or you're going to have to do what LSU did, which is out-explosive them and just outlast them. And Texas A&M had an inability to do that. This defense from South Carolina is extremely havoc-producing. It's the first thing I noticed when I started studying Kentucky back in week 3. Right, I turned that South Carolina tape on, and South Carolina beat the shit out of Kentucky in that football game. Right, and I'm sitting there watching that. And as somebody who's like, I didn't play defense, but I'm still trying to learn everything I can about coverages, right? I'm not 100% perfect when I'm on those board identifying coverages, but I think I'm pretty good at it. I watched South Carolina's defense several times on tape this year, and I have no earthly idea what they're playing, what they're doing. They know, obviously they know, but it's so disguised and it's so what I call amoeba, right? If you watch an amoeba in a cell, it just kind of floats around. That's what their defensive back crew does. They just amoeba D the whole time, right? In that back end, and as a quarterback, I would have no idea what they're playing or what they're doing. On top of that, they have 2 first-rounders that are in your face immediately, immense pressure consistently. I have no idea what to do with South Carolina other than I know they're extremely fun. I also think at this point, based off what I saw from Louisville, and we know that Clemson can get boa constricted again, like, hey, if they blind it up tomorrow, I've got South Carolina by maybe like a tud. Maybe a tud. Here we go. What you're all here for, I would assume. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. All right, make sure you are subscribing to the channel as well. All right, and make sure you're showing up for film study this week because I know you guys are going to be intrigued. Be intrigued as to what the hell happened yesterday. So let's do it. Let's talk turnovers. I mean, let's talk Georgia and Florida. Georgia pulls this one out 34-20. Not to give away too many trade secrets in case the ops are watching today. But, I mean, you can do it. We all do it. It's competitive space. I'm going to do it better. I'm going to go through every single one of Carson's interceptions on film this week. Tomorrow morning, we'll have that ready by noon, I would imagine, tomorrow. I watched them all today. And to be honest with you, to this point in the season, most of his play, not just the interceptions, most of his play as somebody that I think you guys come to for explanations or at least diagrams, like show you what's happening. When I watch it, I think all of his play up until this point, for the most part, has been really explainable. Like I can go through it and I can say, okay, he did this because of this, even without being in the room. This happened because this happened, right? I'm going to walk through some of these later, but most of it, it's about 90% of his play this year has been really explainable. Not excusable, explainable. There's a difference there, and I think some people think it's excuse making, but it's football. It's what it is, right? Things happen, and you have to explain why they happen. All right, so most of it has been really explainable, right? It's been wide receiver drops. It's been wide receivers busting routes, not being where they are supposed to be. And, of course, it's been some bad decision-making, and particularly, which shouldn't be the case, I expect quarterbacks to make bad decisions every once in a while. I do not expect this quarterback to make bad decisions and be inaccurate. That's not what he's allowed to do. All right, he's got to be perfect in those departments to be who he is, right? The first rounder that we all entered the season thinking and knowing he's caliber of being, right? But most of the complaints, in my opinion, leading up to yesterday, at least, weren't exactly warranted, but like I said, they were explainable, right? The overreaction entering yesterday, I thought was a little bit goofy. However, yesterday, I'm gonna be honest with you. They're gonna tell you the third one was tipped. I saw the all 22. I didn't like where that one was going either. They're trying to run a double move to Dominic Blaylock or Dominic Lovett. Whoa, CTE brain. They're trying to run a double move to Dominic Lovett down the middle of the field. Hey, bro, safety's right on top of it. Like if it's completed, it's big shot. Like the safety's gonna hit Dominic Lovett really, really hard. I didn't love the third one. All right, and yeah, it was tipped and he was hit and it got up. But if you go look at that, when it was thrown, how it was thrown, the coverage of it, it wasn't exactly going to be a home run hitter. It wasn't a great decision. And the first 2 interceptions were not great decisions either. It looked, the first one was just a complete, it's open now. I don't like it. I'm getting off of it. I'm going to come right back to it. Like, it's the same thing happened in the second interception too. I don't love that we're forcing footballs. I don't love that we're late, all right, on locations either. Both of them, again, I would go all three. All three of them very, very inexcusable, okay? But here's where it's really, really tricky to me, right? Here's where it's really tricky to me as the guy who spent all offseason watching the quarterback last year complete 73% of his balls and having a sense of like, ooh, man, are we driving this offense as fast as we can? Right? Are we pushing the ball? Are we pushing the measures of this Lambeau, right? Are we driving it into the corner and hoping it sticks hard, right? Because that's what you can do at Georgia when you have the weaponry. And it's going to come a time when you play a really good football team where we really got to push the levers of this thing. We got to go. And I would say all offseason, and even at points this year, I was like, hey, man, check down Charlie, got to go. Have some Lambeau confidence, right? Have some of that I'm the guy confidence, because you're really, really talented. And then we watched the last several stretch of football games, and all of a sudden we're like, hey, bro, you need to check the football back down, right? You need to start taking more care of it. And I said it yesterday in our reaction, our recap coming off of the field, and I love doing those because it's the immediate thoughts right as I leave. And I still share the immediate thoughts. You've got to find a happy medium between that window is a little bit open, I'm going to trust myself to rip it, and I'm going to give my guy a chance. When you give your guy a chance in clouded windows, everybody else got a chance too. All right, I want to see I can make that throw when it's tight windows, not when it's 3 guys up underneath. You obviously didn't see the hook defender and you throw it right into his face. Okay, so those are the things, man, that's just inexcusable, okay? When you play like that, when you play bad, and your stat sheet says 11 interceptions, and I can go through them, right? I can say, look, one versus Alabama was like, holy shit, why are you throwing that to Jahad Campbell? What are you doing? That was one. The other 2, very excusable or very explainable. I will show you that on the tape tomorrow. Arian Smith busts on a screen route, all right? And Colby Young, I don't think runs the right depth of route on the interception to end the football game. Okay, there's one tipped pass against Mississippi State and one that he claims was a pass interference, all right? And he was throwing it on purpose at the pass interference in hopes that he would get the call. So there's already 5 interceptions, all right? The 6th one, the first one against Texas, I think it's a great play by Makuba. And by the way, I'm going to show you on tape tomorrow, he learned from the lesson. He has that pick against Texas. He has a very similar play against Florida, stares at the safety to make sure it doesn't happen again, and absolutely rips a piss missile. Okay, so he's growing from some of these mistakes as well. One bad miss against Texas led to an interception. Y'all know that one, the loss and lucky ball. And then one, again, another bust by Arian Smith. And 2, just absolute, what are you doing interceptions against Florida. And again, I think it's a bad decision to even attempt to throw the ball on the hit and tipped pass against Florida again yesterday. So I can go through all of these and I can explain most of them. But when the interception tally right now, and you're a Georgia quarterback, says 11 interceptions, all right, and they've come in big football games, and it's multiple interceptions in multiple big football games, then criticism is warranted, all right? So you're not going to find nice things on social media about you right now. All right, no one is if you're in that position. That being said, why do people talk about this man the way that they do on social media? At least with Stetson, y'all call him old, y'all call him washed, y'all call him a walk-on, y'all call him a bum. Y'all are the most disrespectful versions of your shitty ass selves when you talk to this man like y'all do on social media. And again, I know, very minority portion of the fan base, buddy, it's on my timeline left and right with thousands and thousands of likes. Thousands and thousands of likes. So I don't like it. I don't love it. But again, the criticism of his play as of late is warranted. How you talk about that criticism is not. I think it's pretty gross. Defensive grades, 100% incomplete. 100% incomplete. We know what the deal is. I'm not some guru football analyst coming to the microphone telling you that the offensive performance from Florida was totally different the moment DJ Lagway got hurt. Duh. So we can move on. Now, what I will not do is play what ifs, nuts, candies, and butts. I'm not going to do the, Florida would have. No, let's not do that one. However, it was very obvious that the offensive game plan from Florida completely changed, right? Completely changed. Also, holy shit. Did you guys see the videos of the cops? I want documentation of lawsuits, okay? I don't know if we got lawyers up in this joint watching tonight, but we got some police brutality out here. Some police brutality. If you haven't seen these videos, take the time out of your day. Go watch them. Go watch them, unless you're a little squeamish. One older Florida fan, I mean, just getting wailed on by a cop. I'm talking about 7 over-the-top hammer fists. Bow, 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 bow. Kicking the shit out of this man. I'm like, what did this man do? What did he do to make these people so mad? And then I see the Upper Decker video. If you ain't seen the Upper Decker video, my God, the Upper Decker video is crazy. Cop pulls out a taser, tases Georgia fan. Georgia fan ain't taking none of it, just ripping the wires off. Then all of a sudden, cop pulls out the handcuffs, uses them as freaking brass knuckles, starts just wailing on man's face. Lawsuits everywhere. Jacksonville PD, you might cost them the neutral site game because they might not be able to pay these out. I'm telling you right now, there was some resisting. I'm not going to lie to you. There was obviously some you ain't arrested my ass today. That being said, wow. Probably a way to handle that one without I think it was the brass knuckles that probably got him. The one up in the top. I ain't got no excuse for the one down in the bottom. Maybe I'm wrong. So, yeah. Let's talk about, let's preview Ole Miss. 40 minutes in, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. The University of Georgia travels to Oxford, Mississippi this weekend for a 3:30 kickoff, and Ole Miss is looking like themselves, man. They look like they've retained that wagon status that they had, going into a couple weeks ago, that Kentucky matchup. They look ugly, and then, I think they drop another loss. Who was the other one? Either way, they drop another loss. Oh, LSU, they lose in overtime. They drop another loss to LSU, okay? And then kind of struggle some against Oklahoma, and then wham! They beat the shit up out of Arkansas. Look like that wagon once again throttled Arkansas this weekend. Jackson Dart threw for 515 yards, 6 touchdowns, and did it without Trey Harris. We have seen some tremendous stats this season, okay, whether it be Ashton Genty, yards after contact, leading the Mountain West in total rushing yards. Whatever your favorite stat is, I think my favorite stat right now is the fact that Trey Harris is leading the SEC in receiving yards by over 130 yards and hasn't played the last 2 football games. That's pretty wild. Okay, Trey Harris, I would assume, I don't want to guarantee, I would assume he's probably going to play this weekend against Georgia. They are a really, really explosive problem, even when they can't run the football, which this weekend, they could not run the football effectively. Their leading rusher and rushing attempts was Jackson Dart, I think 10 for 47. Okay, they don't run the football very, very well this year, or at least at an elite level, but it doesn't matter because they got weaponry everywhere. I think they have 3 of the top 10 leading receivers in the SEC. Just had a dude go for 260 this weekend. They can throw it really, really explosively. And by the way, this game's at home for them. I know that's breaking news. You know this. You can look at the schedule. But it's different for Ole Miss than any other SEC football team, and it's not because they have 100,000 strong and it's going to be just absolutely blaring loud and it's going to be chaotic or whatever. It's going to be okay from that standpoint. Okay, it's going to be okay from that standpoint. However, this football team's home and road splits, we've talked about it on this network for years. This team's home and road splits historically have been tremendous in terms of their net delta. The differences between how good this offense is at home and how much they struggle on the road, particularly against really, really good defenses. Georgia is a really good defense. They get this game at home. It adds tremendous value to their offense to be able to have all the smoke and mirrors at their disposal like they will this weekend. They will be a problem if you can't keep the concepts in front of you. A lot of switch releases. You're going to see it this week on tape. Communication's key, and it almost helps that you're playing this one on the road in the communication department. Ironically enough, when you play defense on the road, you can communicate way better than you can at home because the crowd's yelling like piss at home. They're quiet on the road, so you can get things communicated. Communication will play a major, major role. Offense for Georgia has to capitalize on the 3 and outs when they happen from Ole Miss, okay? I'm not saying you need to, quote, limit possessions in this football game, but complementary football against pace offenses, they don't have space. Pace offenses is really critical, okay? If the defense, if Ole Miss's defense is left on the field for like a 7-play, 85-yard scoring drive, and then they get the ball back and they go 3 and out, and Georgia has the ball back, they need to walk that defense. They need to gas that defense, or as we call it on this network, they need to death march that defense. It's a return of a death march type of weekend for the University of Georgia as they face Ole Miss. Quick notes here. Miami, you deserve the hatred. You are way too lackadaisical, and you are who your quarterback is in most times in this sport. Your quarterback is extremely lackadaisical. Your defense is very, very, very suspect. I hope you lose. I hope at some point you lose, and I know you're hoping that I'm hoping that you lose because you thrive off the world hating you. So here you are, Miami. Everyone was rooting for Duke. Everybody. And they just quite couldn't pull it off. Also, by the way, you got your comeuppance. I'm leaning into the bit, by the way, if you can't tell. You got your comeuppance, Cam Ward, trying to run it up on Duke. And Manny Diaz in his homecoming, trying to throw a play-action pass in a goal line situation of 53-20, whatever the hell it was. Trying to score 60 on him. Why? Embarrassing. Strip sack fumble. Serves you right. And the ass chewing on the sideline from Cristobal. Serves you right. Man. Holy hell, Florida State. How bad's it going to get? I mean, I want a case study. Honestly, Mike, if you're listening, I just want to come down for a week. I want to see what's happening because I don't know. I've never seen a football coach go from, man, that team plays hard, quarterback gets hurt, never mind. They're never going to show any sign of life ever again, coach. Never again. I mean, it's like from the moment Jordan Travis got hurt, all right, excuse me, I take that back. They fought like hell to maintain their undefeated season to end last year. That is as me misspeaking. So he got them to fight through the end of the year last year. And then the college football playoff snubs them. And it's like his hardwiring just got pulled out of the back of his head. And now he can't coach. Bro, they're laying down. That's the worst part. It's one thing to be bad. It's another to lay the down and just bite the towel. It's like Florida State guys are just walking out there every week going, well, shit, we're going to lose today, so let's just get this up on out the way. It's bad. It's bad. And I've talked about it on the show, and everyone's already talked about it. They got so much money left on that contract and so much length left on that contract. I don't know how a Florida State fan feels right about now, but I'd love to hear from you. Also would love to hear from a Southern California Trojans fan. I don't know if they exist, but, I mean, lost 4 out of your last 5. You out here taking L's to Washington at home. Just not looking good. Not looking good. Hell yeah, Texas Tech. Hey, everybody in the chat, go Texas Tech. Give them 3. We wasn't going to be watching no undefeated Big 12 team this year. We weren't going to let it happen. We wasn't going to let it happen. So shout out to Texas Tech. Love you for that. Also, shout out to Houston. Shout out to Houston, or as we called them earlier, the Hoogers. Shout out to the Hoogers because they are putting up fights. Bring your lunch pail and make sure you bring your mouthpiece when you travel to Houston to play them Cougars this year, okay? Because they going to put up a 4-quarter fight. K-State found out this weekend, took that sweet-ass L on their way home. Pittsburgh got rolled by SMU. That was fun. And I see you, Vandy. 17-7. Rare gutty road win over SEC opponent Auburn. Diego Pavia moves to 3-0 against Hugh Freeze. I think he ought to get a prestige tag on his 2017 Honda Accord that the Vanderbilt Booster Club bought him and when he transferred in that just says Hugh Daddy. That's what it always say, Hugh Daddy. We had a super chat up in here. I'm going to go hit this. But I looked over here and was like, damn, I'm out of notes. We got a lot of people watching. As an Alabama fan, I think Beck is Milroe with better intermittent passing. I thought it said intermittent fasting and less athleticism. Fair assessment. No, I don't like to compare either of those two to one another. They're totally different. I don't know what's happened the last couple of weeks, and it hasn't been the last couple of weeks. It's been this last football game. That's the worst I've ever seen Carson see the field. And it wasn't even like his feet and his eyes were unattached. It wasn't like mechanics were bad. He just wasn't seeing it. And I don't know how to explain that. And we're going to go to the film study tomorrow. We're going to try to find an answer for it. But I don't know how to go about explaining your quarterback's just not seeing it. Now, when I watch Milroe, buddy, it's a combination of not seeing it and my eyes are right and my whole lower half's left every time. My lower body's left. My eyes are just starting to work. Or my lower body's right. My eyes are already working back left. And that's why it's complete inaccuracies left and right. I don't see inaccurate placement of the football from Carson. I've seen really bad decision-making a couple of times this year. That's not good, all right? That stuff needs to get cleaned up. But I will take the guy who's just not seeing it right now apart from the guy who's got a broken jumper. You know what I mean? Carson just ain't having him go down right now. And eventually, guys who ain't seeing it go down, eventually the ball looks as big as a watermelon. Eventually, they're going to see him go down again, and everything, assumably, will be okay. However, if you are mechanically screwed, as Jalen Milroe has been and continues to be, then we're going to have to offensively figure out how to work around that. I don't see Georgia finding ways to work around their quarterback not quite seeing the field, apart from Mike Bobo being in his ever-loving bag on Saturday. Okay, I thought the two biggest calls in that football game, apart from the 3rd and 5, that they ran mesh. It looked like, and Carson had a tremendous ball to Arian Smith and held it, got their bright protection. Kirby gave him his flowers for it. But I thought the two biggest calls in that football game, one of them was an end around to Dylan Bell. It was like a 35-yard explosive, completely took the air out of every bit of momentum Florida had, particularly on the defensive side of the football. And then having Dwight Phillips in the game plan to get a jet sweep. By the way, do you know why jet sweep is in the game plan? I'm not saying they watched the Film Guy Network, but if they did last week, we would have been circling a 450-pound monsoon of a nose tackle that can't even dream of going east to west. And then some other defensive tackles that are way too damn big to ever dream of running east to west, okay? So, yeah, they came to Coach on Tuesday and said, hey, we got to get in our bag on these end-around packages, and they had a bunch of them, and they all hit. What was up with the eye black? Could that be some of the kind of clue something was going on? Okay, so eye black. Carson Beck, I'm going to let y'all know. Carson Beck, apart from some leggings and spat on his ankles, he is zero drip king. He does nothing to look cool. He doesn't even try. I've never gotten him to smile for a photo. That, like, even the what do you call it, candid photos of my man. Just not generally trying to be cool. Doesn't care to be cool. The coolest thing that he tries to do or wants to do is drive cool cars. That's it. Doesn't care to be cool. So when I saw the eye black, I immediately thought, like, this isn't some fashion statement. So I start looking around, and all I had to do was walk to the other end zone. Across from the bay, that sun is absolutely brutal. Brutal. Now, you may subscribe to the theory that eye black does not work. However, I have blue eyes. I am a fair-eyed individual. The sun really hurts. If I don't have sunglasses on, I can't be out in the sun. Dead ass. I'll get a headache, can't see shit. So maybe, I know it's 2024, you can't say, he had black eye black on his entire face. The only reason, in my mind, was it was sunny. The dude, it definitely wasn't a fashion statement because it looked like hell. Borderline not okay in today's standards. But yeah, it had to have been for the sun. It had to have been for the sun. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. And if you are new to the network, please, for the love of God, subscribe. Please. Appreciate you. Love you. I'll see you tomorrow for a lot of content. A lot. Be locked in this week. I'm telling you, two back-to-back massive football games for Georgia, and it doesn't slow down. Doesn't slow down nationally, does not. Okay, so we have a lot of work to do on this network this week. There's a lot of learning to be done and a lot of fun to be had. Appreciate you. Love you.